right, we're gonna thank you all for coming. We're gonna go ahead and get started since it's 5 o'clock. Well, it's 5 o'clock on and since it's time for the meeting. And we'll have this recorded like we always do, so people can come and view it later. I want to introduce Debbie. She is one of the parents that helped me run the early onset chapter. Her and June Kinoshito from the FSHD Society are gonna update you on what's going to be happening at the Connect conference this June in Denver, and then also a few other initiatives that the parent group, the early onset chapter, is continually working on. So I will pass it over to Debbie to give you a brief presentation. And Debbie, would you like this to sort of be conversational as you're going through it? If anybody has any questions, they can just
I'm fine with people jumping in. I had some spots for questions like in section, but yeah, feel free to just jump in, especially I guess, you and June might have things to add because, not only have I not been to one before, but, June is, planning this. So definitely, feel free whenever.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Debbie's on the committee and she's been working really hard to make this a family-friendly event, and she's been reaching out to a lot of families and especially kids and teens to get their participation at this Connect. So thank you, Debbie, so much for your hard work and being on the committee, and June for thinking about the kids and the families and making this a great event for everybody. So thank you so much, Debbie, and I will hand it over to you.
Yeah, so I'm definitely happy to talk to everyone about FSHD advocacy for children and how you can all get involved. And specifically, like Ellie said, I'm going to focus on the Connect conference and also give some information about natural history projects that we're working on. Oh, here we go. Now I'm gonna have trouble advancing. There we go. Okay, so we have several goals with respect to our advocacy work, and much of this was discussed in the October meeting, but I want to quickly go through it because some of it will explain why I think the Connect conference is so important. One of the things that pharma companies expressed a need for during the pediatric summit in the fall when we gathered in California was an understanding of the natural progression of children. And there are definitely groups working on this, and we encourage participation in all studies. We just also do think that there's already some useful information available, and we want to get that to publication and use. So we're working on two ways to address that need and are trying to do it as quickly as possible through a retrospective study and with progression videos, and I'll be talking about that later. The other main need that we learned from pharma companies is regarding outcome measures, and they need a way to measure the effects of FSHD on an individual so they can know whether the treatment is effective. So this is really important because the FDA will be looking at those results when companies are requesting approval. And so we're actively working on this specifically for children. We meet regularly with a team of PTs and have been having individual discussions with pharma companies, and we're a part of the FSHD Parent Advisory Council for the MOVE study. There are studies for outcome measures, and we do need to get kids involved. So Maggie and I recently went to Columbus, Ohio to look at a few outcome measures with some PTs there, and they'd like to get a group of kids to participate soon. So I've talked to families in Indiana, hoping some in Ohio will join too. So I'll let you know when those opportunities arise, but I really think the Connect conference is a wonderful way to participate in something like this, because there will be two PTs there to learn from the kids and to study outcome measures. We're also aware that we need to continue to engage with and educate pharma companies, and one way we've done that is to list publications and other information on the early onset website. Ellie made this really nice graphic that's also available on the site, and it shows the importance of focusing on children. And in-person interactions are also important. So Kristen has spent a lot of time doing this with her husband and daughter, Kate, and they've gone to some companies, specifically Dine and Avidity and Fulcrum in the last month or so. And representatives from pharma companies will be at the Connect conference, so that'll be a great opportunity for them to actually meet the kids. And finally, we have to do government advocacy, including with the FDA, and we'll need community involvement when that time comes. But I want to talk about the Connect conference and the importance of children attending. And I'm going to give some information about getting involved in the retrospective study later. So the Connect conference is, I don't think this is the speaker or the presenter view, but that's okay. It's a conference hosted by the FSHD Society every 2 years. And the website is listed here, and you can see the purpose is to bring the FSHD community together. And this year it's going to be in Denver on June 15th and 16th. And there's a pre-conference, their pre-conference activities on Friday the 14th. And that site, definitely I recommend people go to it because there's a lot of information there as well as the link to register. Okay, so as Allie mentioned, you know, we have this committee and we're still currently planning the conference, so we don't have all the updated information available like the agenda, but just from being in the committee and from previous years, I can tell you that on Friday there's going to be pre-conference activities, you know, a reception on Friday, and then on Saturday and Sunday there'll be a keynote speaker, and that's this speech is will be given by Gretchen Evans. And I know Allie had mentioned that she enjoyed hearing her speak previously, so I'm really looking forward to that. And there will be plenary sessions where everybody as a group will join, and then breakout sessions where that will give attendees an opportunity to choose a specific session topic. So there are some sessions that are already set, and you can see that on the slide there. That's from the Connect flyer. So you can see there are topics like drug development, diet, pain, PT, and a Q&A from biopharma. And most of this is targeted to adults, but some of it might be interesting for older teens. And like Ellie said, this is going to be the first conference that will be designed to have children attend. So let's look specifically at what we're thinking for kids. So Dre is a mom in Michigan. She has a teen son with FSHD, and along with her daughter, they are helping to plan some of these activities. So I really appreciate their help with that. On Friday, the plan is to have a movie night so the kids can meet, have a chance to hang out. There will be fun activities like a magician and games, and I think the ice cream bar sounds really good. There'll also be some learning opportunities. So we're hoping to have a family-friendly poster presentation, so researchers and pharma can come and you know, be with the kids, answer any questions, and teach them a little bit about FSHD. And there will be activities that address the goals that we have that I mentioned early on. So I'm hoping that the pharma project will be fun, but really I want them to have a chance to interact with the kids so that pharma can have a better understanding of the effects of FSHD. And also during the day, the PTs will be able to hang out with the kids, and then they'll be working on the outcome measures as well. And then we thought that an outing would be fun. And we were able to find out that the FSHD Society can't sponsor something that's outside of the hotel. So that is going to be planned by families and sponsored by Solve FSHD. And so currently the plan is to go to the zoo. We'll have transportation go there. They'll be able to hang out for a couple hours and then be brought back in time for lunch. So, and I also just kind of not really in line with the conference, but I know my family is going to be staying a little bit longer. And so I just kind of wanted to throw out there, if any families wanted to get together outside of the conference, reach out to me, because, you know, it could be nice for us to all get together. And so this is all happening at the same time as the conference. So parents can leave their kids in the reserved kids room. And then the younger children would have to be signed in and out each day. And you were thinking that teens, older teens might want to be floating in and out of it. So I do want to mention, because I am new to all of these conferences, thinking that maybe some others might be as well, that I want to explain a little bit about the International Research Congress and how it relates to Connect. So the couple days before Connect, there will be a conference for researchers, clinicians, and pharma together. So all the professionals, and research is presented, and you can see on here the topics that they were looking for this year. And I was really, really happy that pediatrics was on the list. So you can see that highlighted it. I think that there's been such a big change in the last year because of what Allie and Chris and June and some others have done to really push for some plans like this for kids. And I think having a section for pediatric FSHD is such great progress. So I'll kind of maybe, I have a little assumption coming up, so I'm gonna ask June to maybe pipe in, but these, on the left are all the sponsors, and they're sponsors for IRC and Connect. So, I know that sponsors will be, hanging around, and we wanted to have interaction with them, but I thought that because these are sponsors, it was sort of leading me to think that they might be more well represented at Connect. And I don't know, maybe June, you might be able to mention, do you think that indicates anything, or are they not going to be any different than other pharma companies?
I'm not quite sure. So
do you think because these companies like Dine and Avidity are sponsoring Connect and IRC, because they're sponsoring Connect, they would be, very likely to be the ones who will be at Connect?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, they will. They'll definitely be there. And I know that many of them are really looking forward to having the chance to meet with patients and families. So what we do is, I mean, they're there for the IRC for sure.
Yeah.
And many of them are presenting, and then we're going to invite them to also be on this industry panel, which is on Sunday. So of course that makes it, inevitable they'll stay through Saturday. There's no reason to leave and come back, the next day. So they'll be around. And what would really be great is as the breakout sessions shape up, like we could extend like special invitations to them to attend the break. Like if you have a breakout session, you said you might want to have one for families or for parents. And I thought it made sense for one of those breakouts to have just one session so all of the families can be together and you have a critical mass of people together. But maybe the other breakout slot could be a meet and greet with pharma, that so that might be something to think about.
I was just thinking, because some parents might be wondering, which specific ones, and I just figured that, it was pretty
which specific companies?
That at least these, the sponsors.
Oh, Fulcrum, Avidity, Epic, Dine, Kate Therapeutics has signed up, although I don't know how many people they're sending. I'm hoping Roche will be there. There'll be a few others, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So I've already mentioned most of this at the beginning, and I've posted on the parents' Facebook page several times, but I just want to recap, because I really think that the Connect conference does address a few of our goals. Though peer interaction is not specifically one of our goals, I just think it's so important for kids and adults too. And in addition to just kind of having these personal connections, I think it's nice to, or I guess personal interactions. I think the connections are really nice because, for example, when we were in Chicago, I feel like we met so many people who came up to us and wanted to support us. And so, who knows what might come of this meeting. We'll also have a chance to advocate as parents and kids living with FSHD. The kids' presence, I just think is so important, and we need to keep educating pharma about our children. I am also glad that some studies are going to be done for kids at the conference. It's just more efficient. Hopefully we'll be able to have results published sooner. The PTs will be able to observe the group of kids, which I just think is really helpful. They're the ones trying to help with outcome measures. To really see a group of kids and how they're moving, I think can really help. And hopefully kids and parents will have some good learning opportunities like June mentioned. And just, I don't know, as a side note, I'm hoping that they'll have fun too. This is the first time we're planning this. And I know it's not like a week-long camp, but I want the kids to at least have some positive experiences, and, maybe next time we can build on it and make it even more exciting. But hopefully those couple days will be fun. And so just a little bit of extra information, just, based on some of the questions I've had parents ask. The early bird registrations until April 15th. It is for all children in the family. I'm just making the recommendation that you book your hotel soon, because I think that is starting to get a little bit challenging already. And we've already mentioned this, but the conferences is being planned, still being planned. So as well as the children's activities. So please reach out if you have any suggestions. And I just want to talk about barriers for some families. I know that some kids are in school, And, parents would have to take time off of work. Some parents might have difficulty traveling if they have FSHD. And if there's anything that we can do, please let us know, because I just really think it's so important to have the kids coming. There's also the expense of the trip, which I know is not insignificant. So if there are families who just really could not attend without financial help, I just encourage you to apply for a scholarship, and please be in touch with me if finances would prevent you from coming, because I think it helps all of our kids to have as many children at this conference as possible. And I have Allie's email address up here if anyone has any suggestions or questions. And I don't know, Allie or June, do either of you have anything to add about the conference?
I just want to add, there's also going to be an early onset parent breakout. And we're getting together a panel of experts, maybe like a pediatric neurologist. I know Eva Chin from Solve FSHD has agreed to be on the panel. We've asked one of the pharmas to be in our panel. And we just want parents to bring your questions and participate in the early onset. And it's a great opportunity for you to ask questions directly to the FSHD experts, both the clinicians and the people that are working behind the scenes and the sponsors. While your kids are meeting with the pharma representatives and having fun as well, I hope that you can come to the early onset breakout, and you can bring your kids to that too. It's parents and kids and families. And I think it'll be a really good opportunity to get in front of some of these people that you may not have the opportunity to get in front of otherwise.
Yeah.
June, did you want to add anything else?
I just wanted to mention on Friday night, so the pre-conference reception, a lot of the pharmas and the researchers will be there. So, and obviously everyone is invited. It might not be, I don't know, some kids might have fun being in a reception with fun little finger foods and whatnot, but it's the big sort of everybody coming together kind of event. So I just wanted to mention that, and we'll have to talk offline, Debbie, but we'll make sure we allocate, we have rooms for all the kind of kid activities, like on Friday night, if we want a movie night room, we just want to make sure we have space for that.
Yeah, I definitely am planning to contact you about that. I don't know, I really am grateful that the FSHD Society is adding kids to this. I just think it's so important, and yeah, glad we're moving in that direction.
June, if the kids are can come to the reception on Friday night, can the hotel or whoever arrange for some clever mocktails for them?
I will ask about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was another thing I wanted to talk about is food, to make sure that I know my daughter won't eat salmon, so be good if we can tailor it. We'll do our best. I feel like, I don't want to set the bar too high here. This is the first one where hopefully it'll, be great for kids.
Yeah.
But we can, build on.
We're also talking to the catering, for whether we can arrange for kids' meals. And, we talked about, we don't have like a special like kid pricing. The pricing is really driven by the catering cost. And so I'll let you know what happens. We are trying to figure that out.
Yeah, so we'll post updates, those specific bits of info. But I wanted to share this information and hopefully help parents realize how important this conference could be to advocate for our kids. Yeah. All right.
One of our themes for this meeting, the reason we invited Gretchen Evans is she talks about the importance of having a rope team, like when you're rock climbing, that you're connected to other people, and if one person slips, other people are there to hold you up, that kind of idea. And we really want to emphasize that theme, that nobody has to go on this journey alone, and nor should they, that one of the reasons to come to Connect is to find people who you want on your rope team. It could be an expert clinician, it could be a physical therapist who can provide guidance to your therapist back home. It could be other people, other parents, other patients, older teens that might mentor your, younger kids, whatever it is that you think, this is the place to really make those connections.
Yeah, I feel like that really was helpful in Chicago, and there are a couple of young women who are, so my daughter Maggie is 14, for those who don't know, and a couple of women have, been really great in being a mentor for her and kind of maybe giving me some advice of, what they, so I think that it is nice to have all these people together who have, very similar experiences, but might be able to share some bits of info, and or just to be with people who, understand. They get what it's like when you're going on a trip and you cannot raise your arms all the way up for security. I don't know. I just do think that support is really nice too. All right. Does anybody have any other thoughts or questions about Connect? Because I have a couple other little bits to share with parents if we don't. Allie, anything?
No, just come. It's a lot of
Just go to
fun. I
Connect.
had a lot of, the last Connect was the first one that I went to, and I brought Sam, and he was 16 then, and we both had just a lot of fun just talking with everyone, and I think you'll enjoy it more than you think you will. It's a lot of fun just to meet people, and then once you kind of get into this habit of going and you see people and you're like, oh, I haven't seen you for 2 years, and it's so nice. It's like a big reunion, or people that you've only seen Zoom, and you get to see them in person, and it's just a lot of fun. So I encourage you that if you have the time, to please come, and then hopefully your kids can form those same bonds with other kids as well. So it is a lot of fun to
I feel like that's encouraging that he went last time and he was 16 and there weren't plans for kids and he had fun, because like my advocacy PT side wants outcome measures and advocacy and all that stuff, and mom's side is like, okay, I want my kid to meet all these other kids. And so if Sam had fun 2 years ago and it wasn't set up for kids, your kids will have fun, so come. That's what I say. Okay, so I am going to move on to talking about one of our other goals, and that is to educate pharma. So in addition to educating them and Connect at the Connect conference, a natural history study is another way to do it. So at the Pediatric Summit, one of the biggest bits of feedback from them was that they need a natural history study and to really understand how children progress without an intervention. So I want to talk about natural history studies. So Allie and Kristen actually had been thinking about how much information there was already out there that had been collected and documented in our kids' medical records. So we decided to create a retrospective natural history study, because this method would allow the analysis and publication in a more expedited way. So maybe decreasing the time by 1 to 2 years. So we are very grateful that Solve FSHD is supporting these efforts and has hired a research assistant to collect the data. And the 3 of us have actually already submitted our kids' records as a trial. So now we're ready to start involving some other parents to get them to share their children's medical records. An important bit of information is that confidentiality is maintained. The data will be protected. And I think that it's a powerful way to advocate for our kids. It's our chance to really do something to speed things up a bit. So I have an email address. You can contact me if you have questions or interest in participation, but I just want parents to look out for that. Kristen or Allie, want to add anything to that? Okay.
No, I think
I
you said,
mentioned-
we have been thinking about this for a while, and we even talked to a company, and they were going to charge quite a bit of sum of money to do this, and Solve FSHD was able to hire someone to get it done, so it really is important, because if your kid has 10 years of records, instead of waiting 2 years to do a prospective study, they can go back 10 years and pull all that data out and publish it. So it's almost like they've been in a study for 10 years and they can really use that data. So it really is an effective way to get to get information and data out to the pharmaceuticals in a relatively short way.
Mhm.
That's really valuable information that they can use directly to benefit trials. So if they have natural history, they know how kids progress without any intervention. So thereby, if they put them on a trial, it's just more evidence to the FDA or whoever that, yeah, this treatment is working, because if they weren't on the treatment, this is how they would progress. Now they're on the treatment and maybe they're staying steady or improving. So it really is important, and it's a very quick way to get the data out. And also there was just a study completed. I don't know, were you going to mention Natalie's study, Dr. Katz?
No, go for it.
So there was another study that's sort of like a retrospective. Most people are familiar with the registry at Rochester. Dr. Natalie Katz dug into that data and mined it out, and she just did a poster brief on it. And Debbie posted that poster on Facebook. But there's a lot of good data on it. It's the largest study in the US. I think 166 kids in this that she pulled the data from. It's the largest study in the US of FSHD patients that had symptoms before 18. So it's very significant. It's a lot of good data. We feel like that study, coupled with the retrospective study, coupled with all the stuff that's already out there, there is a large amount of data that that pharmas can use to build their trials around.
Mhm. You know, so you mentioning, you made me think of one more thing I wanted to tell people is that, so this actually could be very helpful from young adults as well, because we could look, you know, someone's, 20, 25, they would have some fairly recent pediatric information also. So if, I will not be afraid to keep begging people for things over Facebook. So I'll be sending that information out, but I just wanted to include that.
Right. When we talk about early onset, we're not just talking about kids that are under 18 right now. We're talking about kids who's had symptoms before they're 18 that now may be in their 20s, maybe even early 30s, that have a lot of data. Right. So when we talk about early onset, we're talking about the whole age range of anybody who had symptoms before 18.
Are people aware of that, Ally? Because I think of numbers of people who have children who are young adults now. And they're aware we could use that information, and how do we maybe more to you, June, how do we get that word out?
Yeah, that's why I have my hand up.
I'm so sorry, it blended in. I didn't
Yeah,
notice.
sorry. Yeah, I've got to like pick a different bright color, I guess. But so yes, when you're ready, because I know you're like piloting it right now to see what the data look like. When you're ready to start collecting this data on a big scale, please let me know, because we can send out an email blast. And as David said, I mean, there are lots of families out there whose children may be adults now, but who had symptoms when they were, young teens or whatever. And those medical records should be, they should be able to retrieve them somehow. And I feel like the thing with kids is when they're diagnosed, they are going to be their parents are taking them to the doctor every year, twice a year, however often.
Mhm.
Once they become adults, they might not ever go to another doctor again, so
Don't tell us that,
young
June.
adults are.
They will keep going to doctors.
But that data, it doesn't, is there somewhere. And I think the methods for measuring and, strength assessments and things, especially if you need like an individualized education plan or, something, those standardized measures, I think, have been in place. Actually, Debbie, you probably know more than I do. I mean, they've been standards for quite a while, right? Probably a couple decades or so. So even
we'll have to
older.
see what we get from it. We've spent a lot of time really trying to figure out what to collect, and these two will know that I keep saying everything, whatever we can possibly get from the records. But yeah, as you mentioned, this that's all out there. They see PTs and neurologists, and that's why Ellie said, it's there. So we had thought about, okay, like AI could help, and so we kind of have this attitude like, all right, let's just get this done. So I should kind of give a shout out to Nicole as the name of the woman who is helping, and she is doing a great job. And it is I think hard work because you're picking through all these records and, there's a lot of
Yeah.
repetition and really pulling out the useful bits. So I'm hoping something really good can come from that.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad, I'm excited you've gotten that going. So we're,
Yeah.
we're ready to help
Yeah.
get the
thank you.
word out in a bigger way. We could have, we could even do a webinar or something about it so people can understand.
And this
why
is
it's
really
being
the first time I feel like we've, kind of mentioned it here or there, but this is really the first time we're saying, okay, parents, we're looking to collect this because we just
Yeah.
needed to be ready and know what we were doing.
Yeah.
So, yes, thank you very much. Okay, so the
Debbie, before you move on from that topic,
Yes.
just make sure like the heavy lift that it takes. So the fact that we want to start asking now for more records, it can take up to, if they're not digitized, it can take up to like 2 or 3 months before you can get all the records from the different doctors and different physical therapy places that you've gone through the years. So it's a heavy lift to ask the parents to do it, but the sooner that people can get going with requesting records, the better, because it can take a while.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'll say that it like I think all of this stuff is hard work, but I will also say that it's not quite as hard as having to travel to I don't know, it's not quite as hard as having to do this for month after month. So going back and using that information, I'm really happy to have that data and see what it shows
Yes.
us.
But just make sure that, we want to get the message out, like start requesting your records now,
Yeah.
even if you haven't gotten a letter from us,
Right.
just please take this as a proactive plea to
Mhm.
go out and start requesting your kids' medical records.
Yes, let's overwhelm Nicole and give her lots of work so we can and give, I mean,
Or
so
even non-kid.
this is what, we had the summit and Pharma told us what they needed. So we're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. So let's get together and get this done. So I have one more project to tell you about, unless anyone have anything about the retrospective study.
No, I just want to add one little thing
Yeah.
that, right now kids and non-ambulatory are not included in any treatment trial, but this is your way of contributing to the overall community to bring treatments to those people that aren't included right now in trials. So this is your way to contribute.
Okay, so so the next thing is another thing that came from the pediatric summit. I was talking to a pharma rep and she mentioned that it would be nice to have videos of kids so they could just see for themselves. So that became one of my goals. So this shows you that just being at conferences and interacting with people, that we can really have good things come from that. So we are looking to make videos of several kids from their family photos and their videos, and we want to show the progression of the disease. So, before and after symptoms appear, so they can just look at the kids and really understand how they progressed. So just a little bit of info on how to do that. So I'm looking for, and I don't want anyone to start doing this quite yet because I'm going to have a little bit of information on how to make the burden of making the videos not quite as great for us, but we're going to be asking parents to add photos and video clips from the child's lifespan into an album. And so I am working on making a video for Maggie right now, and I'll tell you, I went through all of the pictures I have for her, and I searched for things that showed symptoms. So I have pictures of when she was obviously having trouble raising her arms. She was next to a friend and the friend's arms are, straight up and Maggie's were not. I actually learned from this that she had facial weakness much earlier than I thought, because I looked at a picture when she was blowing out candles at 4 and thought, oh my goodness, her lips are not puckered. And then, other things are helpful is when kids need to use devices or are unable to perform activities, stop sports. So I think, going through those pictures, that really helps us, trigger some memories of when symptoms started. And then we need things from before the symptoms develop. So these are pictures of my kids. So here's, Maggie, she was crawling. And pictures of when she was walking and, like I said, raising her arms. And so then I'll need parents to label the pictures with the age and date and why you chose it. So for example, these are pictures that I have in Maggie. So I have, normal development, she was crawling. She was strong enough to climb a door. I mean, that's a pretty strong kid right there. Like, I don't know if I could have done that in my life. And then I have, you know, she was 14. We went to Washington, D.C. with her school trip, and she needed a wheelchair to walk long distances. She needed to sit at that fountain. All the rest of her friends, you know, so that was showing something, a change in her from the couple years before. And then just, you know, I think it's really helpful too, is if you can show the same activity at various stages. So for example, I have, this was during the pandemic, the picture on the left, she's leaping across this little creek with her brothers, no trouble at all. And then last year she's trying to, you know, go from one rock to another, and it's, you know, more awkward, and her uncle and brother feel like they need to help. So that would give them, you know, if we have it in chronological order, it gives them an idea to really look at how the kids progress. So that's, I'll be, you know, sending out pleas to help with that, and you can email me at that address there for information, or if you know, are ready to participate, I have more detailed information. So I'm going to just jump to this last slide, and then, you know, we can talk about anything that we talked about. I just want to just like the little plug for those of you who have really I just feel like the site is now just full of information. So this is the Early Onset website, and on it there is information. There are videos, actually, one that was presented in Milan last year, one that was created for the summit in California, and then one from a PT, Tina Duong. She was explaining the science of FSHD. I think it's easier to find these meetings. So, and I'll just kind of bring your attention to, there's one from Eva Chin, and then I thought there were some really good educational ones, advice from young adults, schools, driving, and then this is the graphic on the right that I mentioned that Allie made, and I just think that that really shows the importance of access to clinical trials for children as soon as possible. So I'll leave that up there, and I think those of you who are here know all of this stuff, but if you have any questions or want to discuss any of this, that would be great.
Hello.
I thought with the video, so I would love to have a real tight, you know, couple-minute video showing progression in a lot of kids to share with at the IRC at the beginning of the pediatric panel. I think would be really impactful. My other thought is, you of course know Lexi Pappas, and you met oh my God,
Marissa?
oh my gosh,
Eloise,
Carden. And also Eloise. And there are also actually some young guys. I don't know if you've met them, like Russ. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. He's in medical school now, but anyway, they're all like, they were diagnosed like some of them earlier than age 10, some of them in their early adolescence. And they've told about how they, you know, things that they lost like during their teenage years, like, and a lot of them were active in sports and were, you know, not able to do them. I think that they could, and they're very, like, as you know, Lexi and Carden are like very polished presenters. They know how to make a selfie video and make it really, you know, pop. You might ask them if they could do like a narrative, tell their story of that period in their life.
Yeah, I was actually thinking, you know, so I wanted people to label the pictures. And I mean, that was helpful for me because I collected a lot of them, and sometimes I think, why did I choose that picture? But I thought that we could use that information to narrate it as we go through, and you know, maybe people would want to do it themselves. Or have anyone who would, you know, like to do that for those who are not interested in doing it themselves. That, you know, we're happy to take volunteers for many of these projects.
Okay.
So, yeah, Jude, I can, yeah, we can definitely get that for you. I can tell you that the one I have for Maggie is like 20 minutes long or something, but I
Yeah.
included a ton of information. So that is not going to work for IRC. But yeah, I don't know. I was really happy to, I don't know, to work on this because, she had mentioned it would be great to see a video. And I thought, well, I can do it. It wouldn't be scientific. And she said, we don't need to be scientific. We want to really, be able to see them. So,
Yeah.
Rita, did you have a question?
Yes, hello.
Hi.
I just wanted to introduce myself. This is my first time coming to this. So my son Sulaiman, we are in Pakistan right now, but we were in US for about 5.5 years, and he was born there. So when we came back to Pakistan, he was about 3.5 years, and slowly and gradually he started walking on his toes and whatnot. And so for now he's 7 right now. He just turned 7 in January. So for the last few years, we have been trying to really locate, like, why is he walking on his toes? Is it behavioral? What is causing it? About 3 months ago, the doctors did a genetic mapping test on him to see if he has any hereditary disorders of muscle spasms or whatever not. And so just recently he was diagnosed with FSHD. So they tested us too, me and my husband, but he didn't get it from us. Like that is just something individual to him. So this is just my first time. Like since then we have been trying to like research everything there is. Since we are in Pakistan right now, there's not much here treatment wise, or just educationally, because I don't think it's very wide known, or to doctors in general, and just to like in community also. So I just wanted you guys to help us navigate through this and really understand what will come ahead, because right now all his symptoms started with toe walking, and that is what is happening still, like just weakening of his lower limbs. um but other than that, I don't see anything in his upper body, other than I see that his writing is getting a little bit like not very neat as it was a year ago. It's getting a little bit floppy when he writes, so maybe a little bit symptoms in his arms are coming. But yeah, I just wanted to really like introduce myself and say that um like we are trying to come back to US just to come for these treatments and these clinical trials. So if I can like help in any way, like send his pictures and stuff, I would love to do that. But also like in terms of what we should do until then, or anything, if you guys can help with that, and what we should really like look forward to in terms of symptoms and stuff, and how we should progress from here, is what I'm asking.
June, do you wanna start?
Okay, I didn't want to jump in if anyone else wanted. Well, first of all, welcome here. We're really glad you found us. You're not alone. You have a whole community of people here to help and offer support. So I wanted you to know that. I think for your son, and actually some of the moms may know better about this than I do, but exercise is beneficial. But you need somebody, a physical therapist or a trainer, who will take the time to understand how FSHD is affecting your son, and then develop the right exercises to work with him. So some muscles that are weakening can benefit from exercise directly. They can sometimes reverse the degeneration to some extent, but other muscles, if they are too degenerated, they can't, and the muscles around them can become strained because the whole system is not working properly. So a good therapist will identify those points of strain and stress in the muscles that are still healthy, and develop exercises to help them, like, you know, regain whatever flexibility, and to not compensate in a way that's going to be, you know, cause more pain and so on. So there are things like that. I don't know if your son has access to orthotic braces if he's tripping and falling, that there should be, you know, he should be evaluated for braces, you know, for orthotics. But we have a lot of information, so just we can
Yeah, no,
ask him
so we have been doing he was going to physical therapy before he was diagnosed,
Mhm.
but they were just trying to treat like his toe walking in that sense because he wasn't diagnosed until then. Since then, I don't know if there's a doctor called Dr. Zara Habib. She is a pediatric PI. And since then, she has told exercises for us to do at home with him, and we have been doing them. Unfortunately, there's no hydrotherapy in Pakistan right now for this. And so our main goal right now is just our immigration is approved for US, but it's just we're waiting for an interview for a whole year. It hasn't happened yet, so we're still hopeful it will happen soon. Other than that, he recently we just got AFOs made for him. So we'll see how much that helps. He's not tripping. Like he doesn't has great balance when he's running. So it takes him like a wall to stop himself from running and all that. While walking, he's not tripping. He was going to like kickboxing and stuff before we even knew this was happening. So, and he does it very well. So it hasn't affected his mobility like too much, other than just his like, you know, walking stance. And so since because of toe walking, his stance is not as great when he stands and all that. But yeah, we have been doing exercises. But one help that we might need is we have been trying to like get a doctor to write us a note, since we have like there's not much resources here in Pakistan for him to be able to like get treatment and like really PTs that actually really know about it, and pediatric PTs that would help him in like, you know, effectively. So we have been really trying for a doctor to write us a note so that we can give it to the US Embassy and ask them to like expedite our interview process. Because we would love to be there in June and like, you know, really go to this conference and talk to families and like, you know, put our input and help in any way we can for clinical trials and whatnot. But yeah, just waiting for that. And so I just wanted to know if there's any way that we like, you know, resources that if we do present our case to NBC, what can we write of? What treatments are there available right now that would really help not progress his muscle weakening in his legs? Because now he does, like if he jumps too much, he does complains of pain, and that pain takes a long while, like about a week to go away. So we can see it progressing. So just those kinds of things. I mean, yeah.
One of the, June, correct me if I say anything wrong here. One of the anomalies of this disease, unfortunately, is that it progresses, each individual progresses differently and experiences changes differently. So different parts of the body, different rates of deterioration or loss. And so it's unfortunately, it's very hard to give a standard of this is what to expect and over what time period. That could be good news because it could be very slow in your son. Okay, but it's hard to tell. I mean, certainly some of the people on this call have a lot more experience with how it affects how children progress, but
Can I ask, Go ahead.
So Rita, thank you for joining us and welcome. Like June said, you do have a lot of support here. We have a lot of information on our website, a lot of doctors that we've talked to at these meetings that you can get a lot of good information from. Some of the things that I think you can do along with the exercise and stuff is make sure, like he probably doesn't close his eyes at night completely. So make sure that you're putting some refresh or some sort of ointment, some thick ointment in his eyes at night so that his eyes don't get dried out, so he doesn't have any retina damage. Also, you probably need to get his eyes checked because there is a small percentage that gets Coats disease. You also want to get some respiratory baseline, take him to a pulmonologist to look at his respiratory capacity. And also, like my son gets his heart checked every couple of years. It's not very common that it affects those, but the respiratory and the eyes are very important that you start early. And put that ointment in at night so his eyes don't get dried out. Because if probably, like Dave said, it does progress differently for everybody, but if he's showing symptoms so young, typically that progression is more quick. It's more quickly than if they're an adult onset or a later teen onset. So some of these things you need to get on right away with physical therapy, the eyes, the respiratory stuff, things like that. And like I said, look back at a lot of these videos. We do have a lot of clinicians on here that will give you some good advice on how to keep him as healthy as he can. Unfortunately, there isn't any treatment right now for anybody with FSHD. There's some trials going on. And pediatrics aren't included in any of those right now. We're trying, that's what we're fighting for, to get the younger kids into trials and to get them access to treatments. But right now, there's a few pharmaceuticals that have some drugs in development, but they're not on the market yet. And they're certainly not on the market for someone as young as your son. So there are some, make sure dietary as far as nutrition, he's getting good nutrition and a good, healthy, well-rounded diet. There are some GI issues that pop up a lot with kids as well. A lot of kids have celiac disease. I don't know if that's related to FSHD or not, but if he's sensitive to certain foods, just keep an eye on that. So I would say the most important thing is keep him active as he can. And like June said, the AFO seems like you're doing all that stuff with PT, but the eye stuff and the respiratory stuff, you need to get on right away.
Yes,
Yes.
no, so he does has a heart murmur. So which is pediatric, like monitored when he was 5.5. And of course we didn't know then, but we did do an echocardiogram like when he turned 6, and everything was okay then. And so after this diagnosis, we just went last week to a pediatric cardiologist again. His heart right now is okay. Lungs, we still have to get checked, but his breathing has never had any issues. The eye issue that you just mentioned, I haven't seen him doing that until now. But his eyes have been fine too. But yeah, I think until now, only thing that it has affected is like from his pelvic muscles until his feet. And so that's what it has really affected until now. Upper body, not so much. But yeah, I can see some time in his hands, in his hand movements, that it's starting to a little bit show now. And that's what it is. I think the exercise that we are doing, it helps him in some ways. Sometimes he's very sore. But yeah, other than that, yes, I mean, we're doing all that you guys just mentioned, like PT at home. And because I still have to find a physical therapist who knows about it and can really help in that way. So we're just doing the exercises that the PI has told us to do it at home until now. But yeah, thank you guys so much. It just helps to connect to people who have had the same experience as this, and it just gives you motivation to move forward and really help the kids and and empower them. I'm just thinking of ways of what I can do to make his life better now, just to, like, what he can do in terms of mental health, and, like, just
Mhm.
to help him be strong mentally. I'm sorry my camera is not working because some issue with my laptop, but yeah, thank you guys.
Oh,
I want to mention too that so my daughter was just diagnosed a year ago, and I went back and watched all the videos that Ellie and Kristen, all these other previous meetings, and the FSHD Society does have just so much information. I learned a lot there, so I would encourage you to do that. And I don't know if you're a member of the parents Facebook group, but I think that that's an easy way to share information. And there are some other ones as well, some about exercise and nutrition. And so those are some other options to connect with other people.
Sure, can you tell me if you would share the name of the group with me? I'll be sure to join it.
It's
Ellie, are you
just
putting it in the
FSHD
chat?
parents.
Yeah.
It's FSHD parents.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat as well, and,
Yeah, if
Jen
you just
hired
search for FSHD, you'll see
Yeah.
there are many, and certainly the parent, because you have a kid that's would be very helpful. But if there's some other topic, there are a few others that
There's FSHD parents living with FSHD. They're all on Facebook. So for the FSHD parents, there's a short little questionnaire, just ask you, are you a parent or whatever? And then June and I are the ones that approve people in there. So just find it and fill it out, and then we'll make sure we get you in there.
So
Okay,
Rita,
thank
do
you so
do you
much.
know where you would be moving to in the US?
No, not right now, because my husband we did get the immigration too. Like, he has a doctorate in economics. So he did get it through, like, EB2, like,
Mhm.
so when we get there, then he has to find a job. He's still applying to see, like, if he can get one before we get there. So until now, we don't know where we would go to.
Okay,
Before, where we were living was in Michigan, Kalamazoo. He did his doctorate and his master's from Western Michigan University.
okay.
So maybe we'll go there because I was working there as well too. So we have, like, people and community there that can help us. But our family lives there. His two sisters are in US right now. Have been living there for about 15 years. So
I'll just mention that I do happen to live in Michigan. So if you end up here, we can connect maybe
Yeah.
physically.
no, for sure. For sure. No, I would
Yeah.
love to.
And there are about how many now? 15 clinical trial research sites in the US. So that might be a factor too, if you've thought, if your husband got a job offer and, you can ask if it's near one of these sites, we can tell you that. Because he'll be able to get, very good care there and opportunities to participate in studies. And we're working very hard to have pediatric trials in the next few years, knock on wood. So, so those might be things to consider as well. I
No,
mean,
for sure.
obviously,
That's what
a
we are
job is
hoping.
number one, but if he gets multiple offers, you have to choose between
Yeah.
Rochester, New York, and somewhere.
No, for sure. That has
Okay.
been our mind too. Like, we have been really looking at and researching clinical trials too that are coming up, like the EPI drug that is also, like, in trial right now to see what will happen with that. So no, we
Yeah.
have been following, like, what clinical trials are coming and whatnot and where they're progressing to. So no, for sure, it's
Right.
always gonna be now in our wherever we locate, whenever we look for jobs, to also look for these things that can be helpful to him.
Okay, well, thank you, Rita. It was nice meeting you, and hopefully you can join us for future meetings, and we look forward to, reach out to us on email, or if you have any questions, feel free to contact us as well. So we're about at time, unless anybody else has anything else to add. Debbie, you have anything else to add? Kristen? June? Anyone else?
The-
I had one question. I'm we're looking for the New York City chapter to do a walk and roll on Long Island. And I called the town of Long Beach. And somebody there seemed to have known people in this group, the woman Carrie, that was does anybody know? She wasn't coming forthright with having a child that's affected, but I think she does, so. Nobody knows, the name doesn't ring a bell? Long Island, okay, just want to see if it rung a bell. I'll try to get more information from her, but I don't want to be prying.
Doesn't ring a bell.
You never know.
Oh, no,
I might
no.
have to ask, yeah. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you all for joining us tonight. I hope to see you all at Connect, and I hope to see lots more families at Connect this year. It will be a good time. It always is a good time. Debbie, thank you so much for working so hard to get the families there in June, and including the kids and the parents. And thank you for your presentation, Debbie. Please get in touch with us to give us your child's records, or if you're a young adult and you were diagnosed as a teen or child, please get in touch with us. We'd love to have your records. It will help tremendously down the line. And thank you all so much for your time. And have
Thank
a
you.
great March.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good
See you
evening,
next
everyone.
time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Next, yep. I was gonna say, next month, we're having a vocational rehabilitation transition specialist on with us for next month to help your kids transition, find jobs and get into school from high school to college or into the workforce. So we're looking forward to that.
Fantastic.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.